Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Hiking Rochester. Today we are hiking Durand Eastman Park, which also includes the beach. And this is the winter edition, so maybe you're wondering what the park is like during the winter, and here you go. Get ready because this is one of my favorite parks, and this is just Durand Eastman Park is just it's such a gem for Rochester, from the beach to the trails across the street and the lakes and the different facilities. This is an amazing park. I love this place. I really, really love this place. Um, so I'll give you some basic facts about it first, and then we'll, get into the fun part. So Durand Eastman Park is a historic park located on the shore of Lake Ontario in Rochester, New York. The land that makes up Durand Eastman Park was originally owned by Dr. Henry S. Durand and George Eastman, hence the name Durand Eastman Park. In 1907, they donated the land to the city of Rochester with the intention that it be used as a public park forever. The park was formally dedicated on May 22nd, 1909. In 1912, a zoo was opened in the park featuring animals such as buffalo, elk, deer, and goats. The zoo closed in 1962. A public beach house was constructed in 1919, providing facilities for visitors to enjoy the lakefront. In 1933, the Durand Golf Course, designed by renowned golf course architect Robert Trent Jones, was opened. The beach house and public bathing area were popular for many years but were forced to close in 1949 due to rising water levels in Lake Ontario. The beach reopened in 1959 after the construction of the Moses Saunders Power Dam provided more stable water levels. However, the beach closed again in 1966 due to pollution concerns. The original bathhouse was torn down in 1974. Durand Eastman Park remains a popular destination for recreation and relaxation, offering a variety of activities and attractions. The park features scenic trails, wooded areas, small lakes, and spectacular views of Lake Ontario. It is also home to the Durand Golf Course, a playground, and several shelters and lodges that can be rented for events. The city of Rochester has made efforts to address the historical pollution issues and has obtained a conditional permit to operate a swimming beach at Durand Eastman. Durand Eastman Park is a testament to the generosity of its founders and a valuable resource to the community, providing a beautiful and diverse environment for all to enjoy. So yeah, this place is dedicated. It was donated to be a park for public use forever, is the intention. And so far, they've made good on that claim. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So here we are. We're on the beach, Durand Beach, which is part of Durand Eastman Park. And this place in the summer, this place is like packed in the summertime. If you're from Rochester, you already know there's a difference between Charlotte Beach and Durand Beach. I would say Durand Beach is definitely definitely more laid back. People pull their boats up, their jet skis up, and hang out right at the beach, and yeah, let's just say it's a lot more laid back. Just go check it out in the summertime and you'll see what I'm saying. But here in the winter, now, as you can see, I'm staying far back from the actual water because it was so slushy. It's been the perfect winter for this slush ice, multiple layers stuff everywhere, And So there's been plenty of years where I've walked out there. You can walk out on like these icebergs that are like jutting out over the lake, and but this year I didn't trust it. And you can see behind this little river there was it's like just a wall of slush in between the white snow and the lake. There's like, you have to walk through this slush, so I just decided to not go out there today. And yeah, the wind was whipping on this day. It was snowing, and right here on the beach, you know, there's nothing to protect you from the wind. It was whipping. It was getting pretty good. It was getting me really good, but you know, I was dressed for it. And there was actually other people here at the beach today. I don't know if you saw those two people when I zoomed in, and as you'll see in the video, there's some other people at the park across the street. But yeah, Rochesterians, they get out regardless of the weather. Maybe not a lot of people, as you can see, there is just me and those two other people that were on the beach, but Rochesterians do get out during even the, you know, storms. Like, it's beautiful. I love it. And one thing about this park is the trees here are amazing. I love the trees, and you're gonna see me stop and give you guys a nice shot of several giants here in this park. And you know, I know it's kind of dull just to see brown and white, but even that being said, I really wanted to showcase this during the winter because of the assortment of trees, and because some of them are so big, and the landscape. It is still a beautiful place regardless of the lack of color, and it being a gray day, you know, and there's no foliage and so on and so forth. There's still a lot of beauty to be had, and I wanted to showcase some of that. So here, this is the gates locked. I believe I turn around. Yep, I turn around. The gate's locked down there. You have to park down there. I opted to park in the parking lot on the other side of the street near the beach. And you have to, in the nicer months, you can drive all the way up here, and it goes pretty far back. You see, we're gonna go around on the trail, and then we're gonna pop back up to the street by the playground, and you'll see how far this road goes back. So we are going to be walking along the western shore of Eastman Lake, and we're going to cut left up a hill and then walk back down the road. And in the wintertime, the trails can actually be better than they are during, say, a rainy spring or a rainy summer, because there's certain areas around the park that they get really muddy. And you know, the park has, you know, put some effort into mitigating that with little, you know, like kind of like walking on docks, kind of like, it looks like really long pallets and other things like that. But right now the snow, it was decent. But the trails weren't that bad at all. And some of these trails you'll see in the video, I'm the first one that has walked on them in at least a day or two. Here's this one giant tree, and when I was looking at this tree, I was looking at it because the wind is cutting across from the lake. So this thing is out on the tip. It's catching the brunt. I was like, wow, this tree's been standing here for many years, catching the wind at full force coming off that lake, and it's still standing there. It's on its way out, but it's not shaking. That's one thing I notice about the trees in this park. They are healthy and strong. Like, even during the wind, I noticed while filming a lot of these trees that they were just standing so firm and strong, and the wind was barely having any effect on them. I was like, wow. So yeah, there's lots of these little kind of like outcroppings, these little fingers that cut off the trail, you know, and go out into the water. And this is like beaver heaven too. This is like there's got to be at least 10 beaver lodges between Durand and Eastman Lake. There's a lot, and they're not shy either. They're not shy. When I was there in like December, I believe, the beavers, they were just letting me film them. They weren't really like, I think, cause they're in the water. They're like, yeah, you're not you're not getting me. Oh, here you'll see there's some type of, I don't know, treasure. I don't know if it's a geocache thing or something like that. But I was like, oh well, it's not for me, so I'll just leave it. Start walking back, heading towards the main trail. And like I said, there on Durand and Eastman Lake, there are a lot of these little outcroppings. It's good for fishing. Last time I was fishing there with my son, there was a lot of like algae. That's one thing about these lakes. They get like this algae buildup, these algae blooms or whatever they're called in like the summer that can be pretty thick. And there's a lot. This is also a arboretum. Am I saying it right? So this place has lots of different parts. I mean, Durand, I'm just putting a dent in Durand Eastman Park. There are a lot of areas that have many, many unique trees. This one you see, it's a Japanese Zelkova tree. And I thought the bark was really unique, and the different colors, like the oranges and yellow and rusty colors. And I also thought the way the snow was hitting it. You see the snow, it's like, I don't know. It's almost like steps, but like staggered. The way the snow was resting on there, I was like, wow, that's beautiful. And it's really hard to catch on camera how massive trees are, up close, unless you're able to stand back and get the full tree like in a shot, But there are some giants in this park, and I just love trees. And this park really makes me appreciate trees and appreciate, making nature and public use land, you know what I mean? And just keeping it that way. Like, don't do anything to it. Maintain the trails a little bit or whatever. I mean, people will do that just by walking. You don't even have to maintain the trail, and just whatever, and just leave it alone and just let people use it for free, Yeah, I really, really like this place. And a lot of people do. I mean, like I said, in the nicer months, this place, between the beach and all the pavilions. And by the way, these pavilions get booked up. I know from looking into different parties and events for myself. I mean, every single one of these pavilions at these parks and parks throughout Rochester, they all get booked up and they get used. They do not sit empty. So this part of the trail you'll see to my right, a lot of times this part is kind of swampy. There's a couple places like this where they're swampy in the months where there's no snow, but right now I just cut across it because it's not like that. Oh, that's me doing something crazy with the camera. And you can see, you can go left, right. You can cut through, go over the hump. I'm just gonna skirt around along the lake. And another thing about the trees you'll notice is they're really straight. Even all the different species. I mean, I know trees obviously generally grow straight up, and I'm not saying there isn't any deformed looking trees in the park, but all the trees amongst all the different species, excuse me, are pretty straight. That's another thing I noticed about this park. So yeah, this is Eastman Lake. And it has been a winter wonderland here in Rochester and New York in general. It's our first winter in some years that we've had that's like an actual winter. But that's normal. Nature fluctuates. It's never the same every year, and I know we look for it to be the same because unpredictability seems to be one of humans' natural enemies. But hey, it's just the way nature works, Yeah, it's hard to say. Even the weather, like they say, the weatherman is one of the professions you can have, and you can keep your job even if you're wrong every day. It just really doesn't matter. But this year has shown us that, yep, you still live up north. You live on a lake too. There's something called the lake effect. And it gets cold and you can get a lot of snow and it can stay cold and snowy for months. But that's why here at By Your Side Outfitters, we provide you with the solutions so that way you are able to enjoy, regardless of the weather. So that way you are able to enjoy the great outdoors and you are able to build your own relationship with them. So those plants, trees, shrub things are throughout the park, and as you can see, the leaves are curled up. They actually, that type of plant or whatever it is responds to the cold by curling the leaves up. It's called like Redundra maximus, something like that. I always like these roots when a tree falls over. First off, it's a perfect place for a quick shelter if you needed one, especially if you had just one little tarp. Hang your tarp down, make a quick lean-to, good to go. And that tree goes out into the water. I love it when trees fall right out into the water like that and you can walk out onto them. And as you can see, lined all along the lake are these bushes, and there was something chewing on them. I noticed it on several of them. You can see the little teeth marks, and it couldn't have been a beaver. Obviously the teeth marks are too small. Number two, it's 4 feet up in the air. I've never seen a beaver climb a tree. They're not really built for that. They probably wouldn't even be able to balance on a log. They're better off carrying the log in their mouth than they are. But this place is perfect for beavers though. But yeah, if anybody knows what animal chews on those type of bushes, they have like a yellowy type of wood. It's like a yellowish wood. And there's another spot that I'm walking through right now that's usually pretty swampy, but right now we're able to walk through it and cross over. And you'll see coming up here to my left are more of those bushes or shrubs. I don't know what they are, but I know I looked them up and it's like I said, it's like Redundra maximus, because those are like the big ones. They have a lot of smaller ones of those type of plants in that type of plant family or whatever, but those ones are the big ones that are growing, that are wild basically. And this lake is on the west side of it. It has a lot of these little bays or whatever you call them. I don't know, that come in and last time I was there with my son, we caught some bluegills over at this one. And you'll see this tree. I noticed like it has all these different colors in the bark. It has like brown, a faded brown, a golden brown, a greenish brown. I was like, wow. And this thing is massive, standing straight and firm. Look at that. But like I said, man, you have to go visit yourself, because the videos really don't do justice when you're standing there and it's one thing, and you see a lot of big trees because some trees do die. Not all trees just keep growing. So a lot of times you'll see big trees, but they're like on their way out. But to see a tree that's full of vigor and life and that doesn't show any signs of going anywhere anytime soon, and it's that big, you're like, wow, this is a giant living thing. Like, it is crazy. And we're gonna head out to this other outcropping of land. This one has a sign and a bench, and it's called Owen's Place. And I believe there's a plaque or something on the ground that's buried under the snow right now. And honestly, I can't remember what this place is dedicated to and who Owen was. I actually Googled it and I can't find any information on it. I want to say it's dedicated to somebody who lost their life to addiction or something like that. If I remember correct, the plaque that's buried under the snow mentions something about that. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong, but like I said, I googled it to try to find the information for this video, and I could not find anything on it. Like whenever I type in Owen's place, it just shows this like it's searching for an actual like a place, like I don't know. But anyways, this is a nice spot. Here you go, good old graffiti tree. This one's completely covered. People, don't kill trees just so you can carve your initials in. Don't do that. You don't gotta fill the whole tree up with initials, but hey, people have been doing that since there were knives and trees, you know. So hey, it's not gonna end today. Anyways, come out over here and look at this first view of this stand of pines that I just thought were so majestic and so magnificent. I had to catch them from a few different angles. But yeah, it's Eastman Lake, and you can see Eastman Lake. It's a long lake, you know. I mean, it stretches back and has lots of bends and twists. It goes pretty far back. We'll make our way back there here in a little bit. But yeah, you can see the snow. It almost looks like a mist. It was snowing pretty good. The wind was whipping south across Eastman Lake. But yeah, so here's this stand of pines that I was just like, wow, they are so tall and majestic, and they were standing completely still in the wind. And so I had to showcase those because that's one of the main things about this park. Like I said before, the beauty of the trees here is just amazing. And personally, I am genuinely so grateful that they preserve this land, you know, for the use of the public. And I'm just grateful in general for the Rochester area having so much outdoors to explore. Doesn't matter what part of the city you live in. Doesn't matter. There is something within probably a 5-minute drive from you, honestly. And that's true for pretty much every town surrounding Rochester and beyond. I mean, New York State is beautiful. So here we go. We're walking back down. And as you can see, the trail isn't fresh. You know, there's other tracks. You can see over here, looks like a dog or a person walked out onto the pond. And we're just walking along. And to my left, that hill goes up to the main road that cuts through this portion of the park. And anytime you want, you can cut up that hill and get to the road, and then you can hop back down and the other side of the road and go down to Durand Lake, or you can just go up to the, like, if you wanted somebody to pick you up or whatever, you can say, all right, I'll cut up to the road now, and I'll just start walking down the road, because it's one way in, one way out. You can't miss a person. Here's another view of those pines. You could see they just stick out amongst all the other trees. They're just there in their own little group, standing tall. Beautiful. That's one thing about the winter. You really learn to appreciate evergreens, you know, because they're just evergreen. And that's beautiful, you know. Green in nature is such a beautiful color. Now this tree, you can see it has some graffiti, but it looks like it was like hit with lightning. And I think that because I had a tree in my front yard as a kid that got hit with lightning and it left a gouge down the middle of it. But see, that's the base, that rotten base. And it's like it split down the middle and started curling within on itself. And it almost looks like two trees, but it's one. But that rotten base is what is holding up this super tall, skinny tree. It's just like a big, tall twig. Look how far that split goes up. And I was just like, wow, that little bit of wood at the bottom, less than 50% of the original diameter of the trunk is what's holding it up. And then to the left of it, I noticed this tree, nice and healthy, and has these really straight, thick bark. I love like knots and burls in trees. Like, you ever see the people that make like bowls and cups out of the wood burls? I think that's pretty cool. Knotwood and burlwood can produce some pretty unique patterns and whatnot. Got this fallen tree. Luckily it fell away from the path. And that's always cool. It always looks like some skeleton or something, like almost like some prehistoric animal that everything else deteriorated and just left the bones. That's what I always thought as a kid, seeing down trees like that, you know, where the roots don't have any dirt on them or anything. It just always look like a skeleton, some type of creature. Oh, and this is a beaver dam. There's more on this trail too, but this was the only one I was able to tell because it wasn't completely buried. This is, I mean, not a beaver dam, a beaver lodge. So yes, that is a beaver house right there. And I remember what I was saying to myself right here. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, he's got it made. They can just come out on their, when I was looking at this part, I was like, they can just come out on their little front porch right here. Got a view of the lake. Their little lake house. But yes, that is a beaver lodge. One of the many beaver lodges in Durand Eastman Park. There has to be at least 10 between Eastman and Durand Lake. And what I actually learned is that while beavers can be territorial, it really comes down to resources and the size of the body of water. So you can have multiple families of beavers living in the same area. It just comes down, like I said, to resources and the area, you know. And obviously, I don't know how they defend their territory when they get the territorial. Like, I don't know if they actually fight, but I was gonna say, and obviously the biggest beaver could win, because last time I was there before the snow hit, the beavers were out and about. They were busy. They must have known winter's coming, you know, and they were busy. They were so busy, that's why they couldn't shy away during the daytime. They probably knew they had work to get done, and so they were out and about, and I was able to film a bunch of them. But I was amazed at the size difference. There was like a huge beaver, and there was one that was tiny, but the huge one was like massive. I was like, wow. But look at the assortment of barks, even in the winter when there's no foliage. Just look at the assortment of colors of barks and shapes and textures. You know, it's beautiful there. And I was thinking to myself, wow, to be able to identify a tree just off the bark has to be a very, you know, unique skill to have, because then you don't miss out during all those months, you know, where there is no foliage. You can still kind of know what you're looking at. So that's a skill I hope to acquire. This is one of my favorite little, it's like, it has, some of the parts have these little flat parts where they just kind of gradually walk into the water. This is one of my favorite ones to sit at. You know, it's got like a nice mossy mat. You know, it's not grass, it's almost like moss that you could sit on, put your back to one of these trees right here. And then this is where I think they're swans, the huge white birds are always back here. You can see the bottom, the southern tip of Eastman Lake is a marsh. You know, you can't get back there with your kayak and all that. And it goes, it's a decent chunk. Now I was looking at that valley that was back there. There's like a valley on the other side of the water that leads back up. So we're heading on down, and here's the marshy area, and you could see there's like a building. There's a valley to the left, and there's like this little building. I don't know what it is, and excuse my camera work. For some reason I couldn't get the thing centered. But yeah, if you like exploring cool little stuff like that, there you go. And this is getting near the end of Eastman Lake, the bottom tip, where you can either go right and loop around it and come back up the west side of it, or you can go left and go up to the road, which is what I'm gonna do. Oh, this massive willow tree. I love willow trees. They're one of my favorite because they just thrive no matter what. And it's like, if a part of it breaks off, it just grows another one. And if that part breaks off, it grows another one. If the whole top snaps off, it shoots up a bunch of sprouts, and it just keeps growing and growing. And in this area too, if you could look on the ground and see possibly lots of deer tracks. So that marsh area, I'm assuming, especially in the winter, when it's not as wet, that's a perfect area for deers to bed down in. Because not much else is going to go there. Humans aren't going to walk through that, you know? But yeah, this massive willow tree. Beautiful. And yeah, like I said, this is the southern tip of Eastman Lake. And from here you can skirt around the southern tip and come up north along the west bank of it. Or you can go left. And then here's a lovely shot of this willow tree. I mean, the bark is just like so unique. I was like, wow, look at that. So many different patterns within this bark, you know, from this huge burl. This has to be one of the biggest burls I've seen, but willow trees do that though. It has this type of bark, and then looking up it has, you know, this jaggedy type of stuff. And then it goes up into like this more, you know, smooth, regular type of bark. And I was just like, wow, it's just so unique. But you see all those sprouts sticking out both sides, like willow trees, they just keep growing. Beautiful. And I was standing under, and it was leaning over me. I was like, is this the best place? I was like, I don't know. This is where you get the best shot. And the bottom part of all this burly bark, the burly bark, I was like, wow, it looks like eyeballs. Look at this one. It looks like a dragon eye or something. A wood dragon. And I'm sure all these cracks and crevices provide lots of homes for an assortment of wildlife, from birds to mice to bugs. And we're gonna head on out. Oh, this was a birch tree that I thought was cool just because there's not too many birch trees around there. Usually you see in New York, you see birch trees at the higher altitudes, usually. I think it's like above, what is it, above like 2,500 feet, I want to say, is where they really thrive. The Catskills has some amazing stands of birch trees. So does the Adirondacks, of course. Actually, one of the biggest birch trees I've ever seen was on Little Moose Mountain near Sly Pond. It was like a massive birch tree. I know exactly where it's at, too. I know how to find it. I should go back there one day and just document it because it is a massive tree. Look at this triplet tree. That's one tree that shot up 3 main trunks. I was like, wow. And all 3 of them grew to be tall and strong. So as you can see, this trail is relatively easy. You know, I'm gonna give it a trail rating at the end. You know, guess down in the comments what you think my rating is gonna be based off of what you see, and that's one of the reasons why I do these videos. I don't just want to make posts on social media and just tell you about parks. I want to actually show them to you, you know, give you a full walkthrough. You can put the speed up on the video. That way it just speeds through. But that way, you can, if you're planning to go here, you can get a quick general view and know what you're getting yourself into, you know. And that way you can enjoy yourself. When you get there, you already know, you know what to expect, and you're just enjoying yourself. You come prepared, and you're enjoying yourself. So now I'm going up the hill, looking back down on where I was. And there was some people, oh yeah, I think at this point I was trying to zoom in on these people that were like way, way back there. I want to say they were cross-country skiing. Yeah, there were some cross-country skiers back there. I was spying on them. I was creeping on them, being a creeper. So I was like, I know they can't see me, but I see them. It's always fun to do things like that with, you know, binoculars in the woods. You know, it's just, you happen to look at somebody. You're not trying to look at people, but you happen to see a person, and you're like, well, they can't see me, but I could see them. It's always a funny feeling. Another absolutely massive tree. And like I said, it's not just how tall the trees are that impress me, it's how healthy they are too, you know? You see a huge, healthy tree, it's like, wow. Oh, who was that guy? Who was that guy peeking around the camera? No, I had a dead cat on my mic, and which I don't know why I even used the mic. Why I even had the mic on, because I was just gonna do a voiceover. But sometimes I think like, oh, maybe I'll do some talking while I'm walking, and with a mixture of a voiceover afterwards. But that's not what happened. So yeah, because it was like the perfect temp or whatever, to where the snow was landing on the dead cat and then like icing up. And so as you can imagine, it's like fur with clumps of ice in it. But anyways, so now we're cutting our way back up. And this is, if you take that road in the where the gate was originally in the beginning, if you take that road back during the open season when they have the gate open. It'll lead you all the way back here, which is like a little turnaround that has a playground, it has bathrooms, it has multiple pavilions, and it has this area called the picnic area where you can go back, and there's much more lakes and small ponds and stuff if you go back this way, with benches and stuff. And there's a lot to explore here, a lot. And I will definitely be doing more videos on Durand Eastman Park, just because, I mean, it would literally, you'd have to have a nice summer day and start at like 9 in the morning till like 8 at night to really like cover everything. So, but yeah, like I said, there's a seasonal time where this road is open and you can drive back here, and we come here with the kids. It's a nice playground. And this road will take you all the way back. And like I said, to the left, if you go down at any point you go down the hill to my left, you'll run into Eastman Lake. And at any point if you go down the hill to the right, you'll run into Durand Lake. And along Durand Lake, that's the part that gets really sloppy, I believe, you know, especially the southern portion of it. Depending on the weather, you know, it might be pretty muddy. Luckily, it's flat, though. That's one thing about the part that's muddy, is it's super flat. And as long as you got the right boots, at least you don't have to worry about slipping and sliding, you know, because you're not on an incline. You just got to have the right shoes. Yeah, there's a playground. Which, surprisingly, this really isn't a popular playground. The one down the street, because in this area, there's 2 playgrounds. There's this one right here, and then there's one called Camp Eastman, which is a very nice playground. They have a new updated splash pad, so that's the place to be as far as the playgrounds in this area. But occasionally you'll come and there'll be a couple kids here. And as you can see, this road is perfect for like if you want a long, kind of smooth place to go cross country skiing or snowshoeing, which really I don't know why you would want to snowshoe on something like this, just because, I mean, it kind of defeats the purpose of snowshoeing. But cross country skiing, that's a whole nother thing. This would be a lovely, lovely cross country skiing road to come up, loop around the circle around the playground and come back. That's a really, really good workout. Unless you like doing the fun stuff and going down hills, then you can go off trail and with your cross country. Who doesn't love going downhill on cross country skis? Right here, I was like, wow, all those trees in that little valley heading down to Durand Lake are like bowing. They're all bowing down towards the lake. It's like, that's interesting. I decided to go take a break in this lodge just because I think my hood and everything was starting to fill up with snow. And like I said, it was just the right temperature and the right conditions for stuff to kind of like, it wasn't warm enough for the snow to really stay crystallized. Like everything it hit, it melted and froze. So I walked over here and took a break. So basically this road with all these pavilions and everything, it's a ridge. It's like a ridge that goes up, and then on each side of the ridge are Durand and Eastman Lake. And this tree, I was like, this thing is like a horn because it's like at the tip of this thing. It just reminded me of like a rhino or something like that because it kind of had a slight curve to it. And it was right at the edge of this hill. But it was massive. They had this tree right here. I actually shot a quick video underneath that while I was sitting down, resting up against it. It's a video about synthetic or natural fibers. I was just really starting a conversation, seeing what you guys think about the clothes you wear and the fabrics that you use. And do you use wool or do you use polyester? And what do you think about wearing plastic and the sustainability of natural fibers and versus synthetic fibers, so on and so forth? So if you want to, you can go check that video out and comment and join the conversation. It's hard to see in this video, but down this hill right here, there's lots of there's like 3 or 4 huge downed trees that are like fun, stuff like that. Kids like walking on stuff like that. You find a huge down tree and then you can climb on it and walk along, balance along at the top of it. It's always fun for kids and for me. And yeah, so I'll give you a little close-up view of what the pavilions are looking like. Maybe you're thinking about renting something here. They're pretty nice. I mean, they're out in the open, so obviously the nicer months is when you would be enjoying this. And they have grills, they have picnic tables, and yeah. These gotta be, at least 50, 60 years old? So yeah, that's the pavilion. That's generally what they all look like. I'm just gonna head on back down. Finish my hike. This was a lovely hike. This was a really, really, really peaceful day. Oh, and another thing too, I don't know if I mentioned it, but when you get further back from the road and you get really behind the little hills and crevices, the wind calms down and there's like almost no wind. And this tree too, I was like, wow, this tree, look at its limbs, how they grew like straight out. I found that very interesting. I was like, wow, you can like just sit on those limbs perfectly. I'm doing some weird things with the camera again. This is a nice overlook of Durand Lake. Nice clearing. And as we get closer to the end of the road, there's a bench. And over in this area, you also find paths that lead down to Durand Lake. And there was actually somebody down there ice fishing this day, which was a little surprising because I don't know if the ice was 100% perfect, but hey, they seemed fine to me. And here we are, back to the end, and I hope everybody enjoyed this hike and this winter edition of hiking Rochester, Durand Eastman Park, and this is just a portion of the park. We have many more videos to come exploring this park. This is Nick with By Your Side Outfitters. We are on YouTube at By Your Side Outfitters. We are on Instagram at By Your Side Outfitters. Come hike with us. Come go on an adventure with us. Signing out.